When the Conservative manifesto for the general election is published, it's likely to feature some tough promises on immigration, but is fear of immigration quite different from the reality? Newsnight has been leaked a new Home Office report that will bear that out. But the report into the impact of immigration has been blocked and delayed because of a row between ministers over whether it paints too rosy a picture of immigration. Statistics gathered by civil servants demonstrate a largely positive effect of immigration for business in Britain. This exclusive report by Nick Hopkins.
This was the week the Tories got tough on Europe. First a reshuffle, and then a dig at the European Court of Human Rights. All red meat to the Eurosceptics, but there's a report lurking in Whitehall they will find harder to swallow. Newsnight has been leaked a confidential document which has been causing some people here at the Home Office to have kittens. It's been fought over, word by word, line by line, for the best part of a year. It should have been published months ago. Why hasn't it? Because it's regarded as too pro-European. The report pulls together evidence from dozens of groups and businesses about immigration from the EU, the good and the bad. And some of it makes startling reading.
The majority of EU nationals come here to work. There is no evidence that access to benefits was a significant factor in migration. European immigrants are less intense users of the social security system than UK nationals. Little hard evidence regarding problems in community cohesion as a result of EU migration. The effects are viewed as largely positive, providing a wide range of skilled labour and opportunities for UK workers.
Newsnight has been leaked this report, which appears to be broadly supportive of the freedom of movement. Does that surprise you?
That doesn't surprise me in the slightest. There have been lots of studies which show that we benefit as a country from freedom of movement. UCL did a study which shows we're billions of pounds better off. We've seen studies which show that a huge number of new companies are being set up by migrants who then employ a lot of people here. And of course, Britons benefit from freedom of movement whenever they go and live in France, Spain or wherever else it may be.
Some areas have been affected more than others by our open borders. Ealing in West London is one of them. So on a boiling hot day, we asked shoppers if they were getting hot under the collar.
The other immigrants, they come here, it's not the residential country. They get the best job or whatever job and they go back and live a luxury life there.
I think immigration has largely been a good thing for this country. I'm the son of immigrants myself. I come from an Irish family, so Britain is traditionally an immigrant-friendly country, I think.
We got an influx of Eastern Europeans, especially in West London actually, and it overkilled on workflow with everybody else.
Because for me, Europe, it means that people can go everywhere, so for me it's...
And that's a good thing.
It's a good thing, because yes, this morning I was in Paris and now I'm here, so for me it's really good.
The report is not one-way traffic by any means. It highlights concerns about the impact on lowly paid British workers and on certain communities. But of the 60-odd contributors to the report, most of the negative comments come from three think tanks: Migration Watch, Open Europe and Demos.
The problem with complete freedom of movement is not so much the freedom of movement, is the fact that we have this principle of non-discrimination, which means that you have to treat all European Union citizens effectively as if they're British citizens. And that is what people don't understand, not just in Britain, but throughout the European Union.
Newsnight has been told the Home Office vetoed the first draft and rewrote it. This version horrified Liberal Democrats, and they insisted civil servants hammer out the final text. That was completed months ago.
Unfortunately, this is something that's happened time and time again, that when there are studies which the Home Office has done which say the opposite of what the Home Secretary would like them to say, there is a tendency for them not to come out promptly. I can understand why, for political reasons, the Conservatives didn't want these facts to come out before the European elections, but I think we should make our policy based on the facts. I think reports like this should come out promptly.
This review has stoked the debate, and it isn't even out yet. After months of sitting on the shelf, the Home Office now says the report will be published shortly.
Nick Hopkins. Well, I spoke to the Business Secretary, Vince Cable, earlier today. I asked him how he explained the fact that this report hadn't come out yet, even though there was a copy ready in December.
Well, there was a disagreement in government as to how to do this, and there was a draft that came through the Home Office that was frankly rather one-sided. We disagreed with the content. I thought it was propagandist rather than objective, and as a result we went back to the drawing boards. A study has now been produced which is balanced. It acknowledges that there are some issues with the free movement of labour in the UK in terms of the impact on services, but many of the studies which are quoted show that it's of economic benefit to the UK.
But were you intimately involved in, as it were, the reversioning of it?
Well, I was involved, and indeed there was a lot of working across government to make sure that what emerged reflected the different views of people within the government across the coalition and of different ministers. And I think what's emerged is a balanced and sensible product.
But you're actually supporting a government that is actively, as it were, trying to say that there are problems with immigration.
Well, this is about free movement within the European Union. It's not actually about the wider immigration question. It's very specifically about the European Union. There are different views about it.
But you don't see the irony, in a sense, in colluding and shoring up legislation that goes entirely against your own arguments?
It's not about collusion. It is, we are a coalition and we have to compromise in order that government can function. Immigration is a particularly difficult area where there are very, very different views in government, ranging from people who would want a complete clampdown, ranging to others who have a much more open and liberal approach. I say my job within government is to argue the business case and also for universities and higher education, and all the evidence we have is that the contribution that migrants make from inside and outside the European Union is a positive one, and I make that case, and in many cases we've won that argument.
But the Liberal Democrats are not without a locus in this debate in an area presumably that you wouldn't agree with, which was when Nick Clegg brought up the idea of migrant bonds.
Well, it was dropped. I mean, it's not happening.
And do you regret even the fact it was ever brought up?
Well, there's no harm in raising ideas. It was tested out. It was felt to be not a good idea, and we're not pursuing it. I'm pleased with that because it's aroused a very, very negative reaction in some of the countries where we want to have more visitors.
But how comfortable, no matter what you say publicly, how comfortable can you be being within a coalition whose mood music is one of problems with immigration, problems for communities, and so forth? In a sense, you are standing shoulder to shoulder with other members of this government who put an entirely different spin on this.
Well, the coalition is a business-like relationship designed to provide the country with stable government and deal with our financial crisis. That's why we got into it, and it's worked very well on that level. I mean, when you talk about mood music, I mean, the problem is actually this is the public mood music. There is a lot of anxiety amongst the general public. That's where we start from. And it is a perfectly legitimate objective of both sides of the coalition to try to reassure the public that migration is properly under control. And I do sign up for that. But at the same time, given my job and also as a Liberal Democrat in government, I want to argue the case for the single market within the European Union, which is beneficial to the UK.
It is true, of course, that you have taken a very particular stand on immigration for a long time, and that has been your watchword. But on the whole question of something like the spare room subsidy, right from the beginning, you supported the idea of the spare room subsidy, but right from the beginning Ed Miliband was saying this was vicious and iniquitous. And it's taken a report to come out before the Liberal Democrats will stand up and say, now we don't believe in it.
Well, I think on that particular one, the issue was not so much about the principle, but it was about how it was applied in an environment where there simply wasn't a great deal of scope for people to downsize their rooms, and it required the emergence of hard evidence. But actually at our last party conference, the Liberal Democrats made it very clear, as a party, we did not agree with the way the spare room subsidy was working. And this hasn't happened just this week. I mean, we've been very clear for a long time that we were not comfortable with that, and we wanted it reformed, and we've now confirmed how we want it done.
Vince Cable, thank you very much.